All right, let's get started. I don't have much to report this week. I'm actually working a lot on Scrub in Classic. It will eventually turn into Crimson work, but that's where a lot of my time has gone. Yingjin, how's it going?
Um, yeah, I'm reviewing the week transaction issue from Xuhan, and there are about 4 to 5 pending PRs for SeaStore now. I'm not be able to get all of them reviewed this week. Sorry about that. And for multi-core messenger, I'm working on extending the socket and the socket tests to multiple shards, and I'm still working on the cleanups. That's all.
Okay, Harsh?
Hey, yeah, so not a lot of update from the QA side. We have continued testing. There were some issues with our physical node setup, so we have received a new set of machines, and this time we have started with the basic radar testing, and these are tier 2, so not very extreme, but the first few tests that we ran are working fine, so I haven't seen any major failures there. And the ones that I talked about previously about the RBT test, I wasn't able to raise those trackers as the machines that on which I had the setup had crashed. So once I'm done with the Rados test, I will reproduce the issues that I've mentioned before and then raise trackers for it. It might take a day or two, so apologies for the delay, but that's pretty much it from the QE side.
Okay, sounds great. Chunwei?
I spent much time on the system upgrade and not much progress on the Medical OSD. But I want to discuss the Medical SeaStore interface, so I will share my screen
Okay, go ahead.
to discuss it. So can you see the?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So currently, we implemented the medical SeaStore as this architecture. So each OSD and each shared service hold the one store instance reference, and you access this one store reference instance, and the store interface will transform to the access to the sharded store. So that is currently implementation, and Yingxin suggested we separated the future store interface into two parts. One is the store interface is used by the main OSD, and sharded store interface and used by each shard OSD, and expose all the both the kind of interface to the OSD. So OSD sharded dispatcher, each sharded dispatcher instance will hold one instance of shard store. And the main OSD will use the store instance to access the interface only accessed by the primary store or primary OSD. So what's your opinion, Sam?
First, I don't see a purpose in the store interface. Why wouldn't the OSD simply use the Core 0 shard store?
So because there is OSD shard and store shard says they want to expose each shard store so to the OSD shard, so they needn't use the store interface to do the transform.
No, I mean, in this diagram, the OSD and the Core 0 shard dispatcher are both on Core 0. Why wouldn't the OSD simply use the shard store?
Oh, so there's some you mean the store interface here?
Yes.
Some interface is not used by the shard dispatcher. Is some
mount and unmount, for example.
Stats, something like that.
Okay, so as long as the interfaces are disjoint, as long as store does not have any methods in common with shard store, then this makes sense to me. However, I have the following caution. I do not think it will be the case that SeaStore will be fully partitioned among cores. There will be shared state between shards because there needs to be a way to balance space usage. We're not doing that right now, but we will do it in the future.
So
as long as these shard store...
This implementation
no, listen. Listen. So I'm saying that those shard store instances, we may choose to structure the interface this way, but they will be accessing some shared background state. And I'm not sure it makes much of a difference whether you do it this way or the other way. What do you think,
Okay.
Chunmei?
Yeah. So currently we still keep this implementation, right?
Well, look, I'm not saying you can't change it because the other way might be easier to read. But do you understand the point I'm making?
Um. You mean that we change it in the future, right? So what we do now, I'm going to modify the code to.
Okay, so with this architecture, with these distinct shard stores, do they point at a common structure?
Shared store
Well, so let me add my comments here.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So what I'm observing is that we have SeaStore and SeaStore both are sharded now, but they rely on the same assumption that some interfaces are not shared across the whole store, so they are sharded. So I think it might be better to make that consensus on the future store interface, so we don't need to check if three implementations are consistent.
Oh, I'm maybe confused about the problem. What do you mean by inconsistent? Right now, I would imagine that all of the cores simply call into the store implementation, and it's the store implementation's problem to either route the request to a different core or not. Why would the caller need to care?
Hmm.
In other words, I think every futurized store implementation is going to have its own internal rules about which things need to be routed to specific cores and which things can be handled locally. And I don't think the futurized store interface should impose restrictions on that.
Okay, so even for the access to the specific collection that might be handled internally in another store shard. Do you mean that?
Yeah, it's because I don't think we should bake store shards into the interface. For example, the only place I'm aware of that we currently expose it is that when we initially load PGs, we get hints back as to which core the PG should go on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing I'm aware of. Is there anything else?
No, I think only where PG shard should go for the L access.
So you'll still have to get that information out of store here, the store blue box. When you first load up the OSD, you'll have to call, I don't know, collection list or whatever, and you'll still get those hints, and they're still going to have to be placed on different cores. So I guess I'm not totally clear what this helps with. I think I'm actually missing something. I just not.
Well, so
No, you
you
needed
can
to identify which store to go. You under store under shard OSD under shard OSD, and you use this shard store. You needn't decide to where shard store to go.
What if the user supplies a different number of cores than the store was initially created with? That's a config value that can be changed at startup time. The OSD can be started with different numbers of cores.
You mean the shared OSD and the shared store has different number, right?
I mean, all of Crimson could be started up at different times with different numbers of cores. Are we going to make that something that gets written into the superblock? We could. That's an option.
Yeah, I actually suggested that in another PR.
So that's a reasonable choice. And if we're going to do it that way, then this makes more sense. In that case, I guess you'd have to specify it at makefs time or something, so it'll be a little bit more complicated. Ooh, actually,
yeah, that I was suggested, but I think we should discuss on it more.
Yeah, that's a different problem. But anyway, even so, I don't think so. The advantage of doing it, I still don't see the advantage of doing it this way. So you're saying that each core would independently use its own shard store to query which collections are local? Is that the idea?
So even for the currently implementation, it also
So-
each shard store has its own collections.
Yeah, internally, right. But
Yeah,
that's only a
internal.
hint. If you call it from the wrong core, it just gets routed to the correct core, right?
You have no chance to get to the wrong core, right? You in the shard service, you use the shard store because in the internal they don't transfer to other cores.
Yeah,
Ah,
after
just-
you get to know which collection is in which shard, it will be static allocated there in the current implementation. So that's why.
so how do they manage sharing space currently for SeaStore?
Sharing space. What shared space you mean?
So each of these shard stores is basically an independent SeaStore instance, right?
Oh, so for the SeaStore, they use different segment.
So it statically partitions the disk.
Yeah, static partition for the device.
So long term, I don't think that's what we're going to do. We're probably going to add the ability to dynamically move space around.
yeah,
So what's
next
the
step.
strategy? What's the strategy for sharing that state? I guess all
I
the
think
shard
there will
stores
be
still
a
have some common
background.
data structure. Okay.
There are background worker to collect free space from each shard and reallocate it in the background, but it can be asynchronous.
Yeah.
And delayed.
Okay. So if we go back to the
So-
other slide.
So it also means that the collection can still be static allocated at the
Sure.
interface level.
So my only observation is that I don't think this actually makes any difference to the execution at all. Because you could like all of these shard dispatchers could simply call into the store and the store would just grab the local shard, right?
Yes.
It's just not obvious to me why it's beneficial to expose this through the futurized store interface. It seems like it just makes the interface more complicated.
No, I have pasted the discussion here, so maybe we can. Yeah. Yeah, I think.
I mean, I think it'll actually work either way. So if you guys feel strongly about it, I think it'll work well.
Well, it's from code level. I see repeated code and redirections in both SeaStore and SeaStore.
So to be honest, I don't actually care if there's duplicated code between SeaStore and SeaStore.
Mm-hmm.
Long term, the nice thing about that is that if we want to change something in SeaStore, we don't have to change SeaStore too.
Mm-hmm.
If we do this, then we're baking this rule into the futurized store interface, and every implementation has to work this way in the future.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess that's my concern. But if you guys don't see that as a risk, and you think that this will make the code clearer, then I'm okay with it.
So I think this implementation will have the shard store inner store interface, so they are decoupled. So how about instead we keep the current implementation now?
Well, I think I'm fine with that.
I mean, I think I'm just trying to outline the trade-offs. If we go to the other interface, we're baking this rule into the futurized store interface, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. If we really do want futurized store implementations to behave like this, then this is a reasonable way to structure the interface. My only suggestion would be to make sure that the methods in store are disjoint from the methods in shard store. It should always be obvious which one you should be using. Store should only have methods like mount and unmount, I think. Anything global.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
For this one, we have to support alien style, right? Blue style. There's a problem, right?
It just means that you need to implement and you need to create an interface shim for Alien Store that does this. It'll work.
Yeah,
You can
so-
totally do it. Like it's not that different from what it already does, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
just like I said, from the future iStore interface level, Jason, I don't think you on core 0, you shouldn't have a choice between using store and shard store. You should always use one or the other depending on where the method is. It should be obvious. We don't, for example, want read and write methods on store. If I'm understanding this distinction correctly.
Yeah, the global, they should only be make-fs mount and list collections.
Yeah.
And get
And
some
probably
static configurations.
Probably build shard store should probably be a method there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a interface split, so that some can only be used in the global OSD and or the make-fs process, and some are only available through the sharded OSD.
And that part does make sense. That should add some clarity.
Yeah.
So, what's the agreement? Change it to the second one?
Yeah, I think so. I think the way you guys are choosing to split it makes sense.
And okay, still need to support island style for this under this architecture.
Yeah, so you're going to have to make a shim layer for it that behaves like this. It won't actually be that different, I don't think, from the way the code already works. You'll just have to add these shard store objects.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'm done.
Cool. Rongri? Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that badly.
Oh, hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Welcome. Yes, I can hear you.
Nice. Okay, hi, everyone. It's the very first time to be here. Actually, I'm working for Huawei now. And today I'd like to discuss that I'd like to bring a future to Crimson. Like, we can only use Crimson and SeaStore only in like a virtual environment, like Vistachio, right? So I'd like to bring Crimson and SeaStore to real clusters by using like ADM. I'm not sure like what is the next plan for community to do this.
Sorry, are you asking how to use Ceph ADM to deploy Crimson?
Sorry, maybe some network issues. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can kind of hear you. I'm not sure what you're asking now.
Yeah, it's like for Ceph communities, how we resolve the problem that we can bring Crimson SeaStore to real cluster, not only like Vistachio.
There are instructions for deploying Crimson with Ceph ADM. It's a bit rough at the moment since it's still pretty experimental, but yeah.
Actually, I modified like a Ceph volume module, like some Ceph ADM modules to make it run in a real cluster. Maybe I will bring a PR to community.
Like I said, Ceph ADM actually does support it. There are instructions for how to do it. Forgetting where they are.
So you said you already do that?
Hang on. Let's see here. Actually, they're not merged. I have a PR that's going to add some better instructions for this.
Yeah. What is an ID? Are
What's
you
that?
sharing
the
something?
PR.
Or
No, I'm not sharing my screen. Hang on.
Oh, okay.
Let me actually
no problem.
link. So this PR has some instructions for running Ceph. The changes to doc dev crimson.rst. That would probably be a good place to start. That should merge pretty soon. I'm just waiting on tests to run. But yeah, we'd love your help in getting it tested and hardened for real usage. That's the main goal for this year. That and performance testing stuff.
Okay, so wait a moment.
Hey, if needed, I can
Can we
share
send
you
an
the
article?
detailed instructions of installing and getting a cluster up with Ceph ADM using the Crimson images from Shaman. We do use it for the QA testing, so I do have it on Red Hat Conference. I'm not sure if you have access to it, but if you do, I can share that link with you. It has the detailed steps on how you can set up a cluster using Ceph ADM with the Crimson images from Shaman.
Right, Rongi, does that answer your question?
I can also email it to you if you could just share your email with me. I'll send the detailed instructions over there.
Oh, sorry, I can hear.
One sec.
Okay, text me or something. I can hear.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
typing in chat.
Oh yeah, I see. Okay, no problem.
Okay, we can probably move on then. Rehan, how's it going?
This week I first read the LBA pointer PR, and I submitted another PR to fix the make check failure in sorry, I think my chat window is not working. I submitted a PR to fix an failure of make check in the LBA pointer PR. And I also tried to implement SeaStore concurrent transactions router. That's pretty much it. That's all this week's work.
Okay,
I
Yingjin's
think
asking, is it the weak transactions PR? Or, never mind.
Sorry.
Yingjin's asking in chat if that's the PR you're talking about.
Okay, I can't see anything in the chat window.
Oh, sorry. It's the weak transactions one.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
it.
cool.
That's it. So I submitted two PR, one for the weak transaction issue, the other for the transaction throtter feature. And also I read the PR, I read the LB pointer PR. That's all.
Okay, cool. All right, is there anything else?
Sorry for my chat window.
Oh yeah, no worries. BlueJeans just doesn't work all the time. All right, if there's nothing else, have a great week. I won't be around next week, by the way, next Tuesday, but I'll be back the following week.
Okay, see you next time.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.